Okay guys, in example number 3 here, it says draw a broken line graph for the function in the table below. And you're going to remember, I mean, we're sort of just practicing all this data analysis and data display that we did in 7th grade. But let's think about this again. Broken line graphs, we'll make broken line graphs when we want to highlight changes in an amount over time. But also, if you look at this information, I mean, this is a good example, and I'm going to use a grid here rather than the coordinate plane. Let's see, let me move that. This is a good example for why we would use a broken line graph. Is there really any reason for me to include 0 up to 75?
No.
I mean, really? Nothing happens there. It says the population of the United States in 1900 was 76, right? Should I really start the graph up here and go up to 200 or whatever? There's no reason to do that, right? So what we do is, just to save space and to make this a little more, a little easier to read, we do something called a broken line graph, and we put a little zigzag line down at the bottom. And basically this says, look, understand, we're sort of cutting out the part of the graph that goes from 0 to 75. We're just cutting that right out, okay? Now, it can be a little bit misleading, and we talked about that in the 7th grade, how politicians like to do that kind of stuff, or others, or advertisements might like to do that stuff, to exaggerate results, okay? But it also makes it just simpler to read the graph, too, sometimes. So, for this one, I should go from 75 up to about, what, 250?
Yeah.
75 to 250? Well, let's think about that for a moment. 250 minus 75 is what? What is that? 175, is that right? 175? So let's think about if I let this be 75. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 10 would be good. How about,
You go by 10.
why don't we let each one be 20? Would that make sense? What if I made this 70? What if I made that 70? And each one of these is 20, so another would be 40. So this would be 110. This would be 130. This would be 170. This would be 210. This would be 240. And this would be 270. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So each one of those units is 10 million, okay? So in year 1900, and we'll let that start at 0, okay, it was 75. So that's going to be about right there, right? Halfway, because each little block is 10, so it's halfway between the first block and the second block. Yes, sir?
Wait, you said go by 20.
Oh, by 20. I'm sorry. Each block is 20. So I need to go back down a little bit here. I need to go pretty close. So that's 75, right? For 0? Thanks, Miles. Okay. 1920 is going to be 106. So that's going to be, do we want these years, this to be every 20 years? Or should we let this be 20 years? Just to give ourselves a little bit more room. Does that make sense? So in 1920 it was 106, which would be about right there. Well, about right there. And then in 1940 it was 132. Population's growing. In 1960 it was 179. Okay, that's a little less than half. I wish I could draw this as good as you guys can. I'm sure you're doing better with your pencils. And then 1980 is 227. Okay, so that's 227 is about right here. Okay, wow, it's pretty linear, isn't it? I mean, it's not perfectly linear, but it looks close to it. Depends on how you draw it. I mean, in this went up 30 million. This went up, what, 26 million? This went up,
47.
Is it 47? Is it really 47?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.